usually best to install the panels in a running bond pattern where it's offset or stair step rather than just doing a stack bond where you stack all the panels and have all common joints. For this, I'll need to cut it. And there is a cutting line, especially for this. We're gonna take a long snap off utility knife, do a couple of scores along here, and then the final little bit. This is right. Put out with the panel in the corner. And then you'll do another panel up against it to get the running bond pattern. We're going to put a cut panel in. You can see stair step. This is actually the other piece of the panel that we cut off. So you're absolutely zero waste in here. And now you're set up for your running bond pattern. Now this next row would be just starting out with a full panel here and a full panel here. The 3/8" bead should be about half the width of this ribbed surface that you're putting adhesive on. Hopefully do the hard part and you walk it to the wall, make it in place, and you're good. Ready for the next. Panels go on just as quick as you can squeeze out the adhesive. If you want to know if you're getting the right amount of adhesive on the panels, press the panel up there. Now we can look and check to see if we have the right amount of adhesive. You can see it pulling back and you can see the adhesive transfer on the wall. These panels have locks on them to make sure they're aligned perfectly. They have these little tabs that don't go together unless they're lined up. It has a little bit of concrete that isn't square and sticks out a little bit, so super easy to handle that. Put the panel up against there, and then you can, sometimes you can just mark it that way, or you can just tip it back and then mark the area that you're wanting to trim down a little bit. If it's just the corner here you're trying to do, that you can just trim off with a utility knife, just like this, where you just take and slice a little bit off. This has the rounded edge there, so I'm just going to trim off a little bit. Still needs a little more out of it because it goes up the wall. And the little trick that we have for that is just take a handsaw and drag it across, curl out the foam down there. So you can see where we're going, and now we're nice and flat against the wall. Now you can actually see the wiring raceway in there, and then you can't see the one in there. But so I just wanted to show you how this electrical raceways work before I got all the panels up, so you can see actually how they work. Now, you want to put all the panels up first, and then you come back and put the electrical in. So here's the horizontal electrical raceway. Real simple, easy to use. Just shove the wire through, and then when you see it pop its way out there, you can just take and pull out what you need, bend it down. Now the vertical one works the same way. You shove it in either from the top or bring it down to the bottom and just shove the wire through, and as it comes out. So now as far as the wire goes, it's always easiest if you put the wire in first, then shove it in to the box. And now you can put your screws in there, fasten it in place. And then for those of you who ask as far as securing the wire for the electrical code, just the expanding spray foam filled in that area. And if you don't want to get carried away with the spray foam, you can just cut down part of your block and you can put that back in. You can put the spray foam in there, then you can put the block back in place. One trick for sliding wire in easily so it doesn't get hung up is to take and bend over the end so it doesn't have any sharp thing to catch on. Now it has a smooth transition, it's not going to get hung up. So when you go to put it in and run your horizontal, now this you can run at 8 or 10 feet without No need for a fish tape or anything. You can just shove it through from box to box, no problem. And same thing with the vertical raceway. Slide it up, and you can slide it through. Then you put your box in. Put your wires in your box. Slide the box into place. And you screw right into the InSoFast top. One of the neat things about these boxes is they're adjustable in and out, so you just adjust the screw to where you want your box to be. So if you're thin, or if you're putting car siding on or something thicker, you'll put it out here. Now you'll spray foam in there. That will count for the code required attachment for the wire. You could also spray foam and put a piece of scrap foam back in there if you wanted to use a little less foam. But it's as simple as that. One of the things that's unique about the panels is they have numbers on the bottom where to cut them. They go up to 16 inches. They start at 1 inch and go up to 16. Here, we're just at 4 inches. That's where we cut the last one. So all we have to do is look over, just mark and put a 4. Now you know that you want to cut on the 4-inch mark to a tape measure, where the 1 inch, 2 inch, 3, 4, up to 16, and then it repeats. So it makes it easy to pre-cut. I'm going to cut with a handsaw just so you can see. You can really do it with anything. And here you can see it fits right in there. We have the number 4 on there, so we know what to do on the next row when we get there. Let's pull this up for some adhesive. Normally people will add 10% waste or something like that. With this, there is really no waste. Just that. So you'll have 10% extra if you have 10% extra. So when you figure the last piece as far as your cut goes, what you want to do is set on top of the tongue and measure up to the joist, and you'll see that it's 12 inches. If you try to do it anymore and try to do 12 and a half, you're not going to be able to fit it in there because of the tongue on there. Pretty easy to mark the panels for a cut. Just take your tape measure, put it where you want, and run your hand and your finger along, and you'll see you get a nice top line. This will be cutting with a handsaw. I'll show you cutting through the studs. Now we got to the studs, and that cuts about like when you're doing 7 foot high, you're going to have the piece with the tongue that fits and the groove that fits right in. Then you're going to have the piece that you cut off. And so you don't waste anything. We want to be able to utilize this whole piece and have no waste at all for 7 foot high or 9 foot high. So what we're going to do is trim off these tongues on there so this can fit right tight against here, and you'll see we're just going to put a bead of construction adhesive on there to take the place of tongue being gone. Should trim off a little bit here. And trim the tongue off. Now we have the adhesive on the bottom, so it's going to squish into place. And we're just going to go into place here. And then squish it down in place, and you can see the adhesive is going to be stronger than the foam itself. So we're utilizing everything. We don't have any waste at all with it. Now you are missing the alignment notches on there, so you do want to make sure that everything lines up, that your studs line up manually. Zero waste construction. As you can see, I didn't do a perfectly straight cut with that. If you do it on a table saw, this will all be perfectly tight. But this, the adhesive fills in the gap there and seals everything up. As you can see, the table saw makes a perfectly smooth flat cut and is actually much quicker than doing by hand or with the saber saw or anything